again, everybody. Welcome to Frenemies of the People. We are back. We had some folks out on the road on some summer vacation. We'll be talking about that in a second. I'm Dennis. That's Patrick. Producer Grace is spinning the dials. She's behind the scenes. Do you even spin dials anymore when you're doing these newfangled podcasts? I don't know, but she's doing that producer thing. We are not sponsored by Wally's. By the way, filling in for Eleni is the Wally's hat. But we're not sponsored by Wally's, even though Eleni has extolled the virtues of Wally's. And on a recent trip to Springfield, I finally experienced Wally's, and now I think they should be a sponsor too. I mean, if you love jerky and clean bathrooms, Wally's. Because driving to Springfield is boring. We are also still not sponsored by Diet Coke. It's the official energy drink of Culloton Bauer Luce. That's good. So Patrick, how's your summer? How's your summer been?
It's been hot. It's been a long, hot summer. Sometimes I feel like a cat on a hot tin roof, but we're just keeping up with our clients wherever they send us.
And the boys, have they gotten any swim days or beach days?
They have. They are quite the gardeners themselves. We've got 6 raised garden beds going, a lot of other stuff. The most disappointing aspect has been their corn has been repeatedly stolen by animals. So we're going to come up with a corn growing strategy for next year because it's too late to continue replanting. But next year we'll get some corn going.
Maybe producer Grace or someone out there with some information technology cutting edge can help create a surveillance system so we can catch that varmint in the act. We can grow corn out there in the farmland of Naperville. I mentioned that seems like a lot of people are out on the road. Someone who will be hitting the road or going to the beach pretty soon, probably not till next summer, will be the city's Inspector General and Alderman Walter Burnett. And kind of ironic that we're talking about both of them in the same little podcast session. Let's start with the Inspector General. Deborah Witzberg announced that she would not be seeking a second term as the City Hall Inspector General after the City Council passed some ethics reforms. They're never too expansive, but I think she feels like she made the campsite a little bit cleaner than she found it. As sometimes Ace City Hall reporter Fran Spielman said, she said, "You can't fire me, I quit." And she has been at loggerheads with the mayor over a range of issues. The famous gift closet was one. But it's not unusual, Patrick. Just about every mayor has an issue with their Inspector General. Inspector General is a great job unless you take it very seriously, and then you find yourselves in trouble with the mayor.
Yeah, I think sometimes it used to be the vice president was the worst job you could have in politics, and then maybe there was the Inspector General, and we could throw the Speaker of the U.S. House in there right now too. But it does seem like every Inspector General goes in with momentum to clean the place up, and by the end they leave a bit jaded and downbeaten by the experience. But there was somebody I was speaking to outside of Chicago, and they read a media report that said one of the Inspector General investigations was impeded under then Lori Lightfoot's administration because all the lawyers showed up and said, well, we're going to sit in on the interviews and all these things. And their comment back was, what is the point of having an Inspector General if the person they're inspecting can have their lawyers and sit in the room at all times? And so, it's really a thankless but important job. But, even folks not here, they take a look at some of this stuff and it's a bit bewildering because it would be the fox guarding the hen house.
Well, I'm waiting for maybe the next inspector general to hold a press conference and say, I am shocked that there is gambling going on at City Hall. But
At least they've identified where the gift room is. We can all agree that there isn't.
right.
Think this is like the X-Files or the FBI. Like, we agree that there is Area 54, finally. There is a gift room at City Hall. It's been acknowledged. There are gifts in said gift room. I mean, that's a lot of transparency for the people of Chicago to finally get, that the vault is actually there.
Well, from the outsiders and those who love good government, Deborah Whisper got some good reviews, just as a number of her predecessors got good reviews. She was a little less interested in earning free media as her most recent predecessor, but did a good job and is leaving with her head on her shoulders. She still has several more months of uncovering any sort of corruption or impropriety at City Hall if they haven't just eliminated all of that with this recent ethics ordinance. So I'm sure the mayor is hoping that she has a quiet last several months of her term, and then she will go on to some other interesting things, no doubt, as will Alderman Walter Burnett, who is ending about a 3-decade run as alderman of the 27th Ward on the west side of Chicago, the near west side, which is now really known as the home of Fulton Market and I think most of the United Center and the Randolph Street area, none of which was there before he was an alder. Heard a lot of great stories about him as an alderman over the years, even to the extent that the constituent was concerned about a shady character outside their condo, and the alderman personally went late one night, found that guy, and he stopped hanging around that corner. The alderman is still at even though he's got some gray hair now and is retiring at least from this job, he's pretty physically fit, and he's that's the kind of hands-on streets and sanitation kind of alderman that he was. Well, he was also dealing with multi-$100 million developments that totally transformed the west side of Chicago. Obviously, you need a mayor who is encouraging of that, and he was able to serve under 3 mayors who were very pro-development, Daley, Emanuel, and Lightfoot for a little while. So he was able to partner with them and some pretty big businesses. So he's leaving, but he's got an idea for a successor, Patrick.
Shocking, yeah. And family business is alive and well here in Chicago. We love those intergenerational, homegrown businesses. There's not enough of them in America, and I think it's as I think of Alderman Burnett, and Dennis, you and I talk about the generations of political leaders in Illinois. To me, and I welcome your thought if there's any of the, he's one of the last of the old guard still on the council, right? And like you said, knew every councilman knew the potholes that needed to be fixed. There was no BS in him. People knew if they called, you better get on this because it's here. So of that ilk, of that generation, he's probably one of the last. And as proof of that, suggesting that his son should the field should be clear for his son to take over is also a relic of that era of political control and raw politics. But as the last of the OGs, he's planting his flag.
So his son, who he wants to succeed him, and has not been finalized yet as of this podcast taping, but this has been a long tradition in Chicago politics of elected officials passing things on to their sons or daughters. Neil Steinberg, also of the Sun-Times, said that these local offices have become a little bit like a Patek Philippe watch that you just take care of for the next generation. Um, the Despite the fact that Alderman Burnett is pretty skilled at talking to the local media, his son, whom he hopes will be his successor, was not available to talk to any local media. Block Club found him at a coffee spot, and he was able to at least say that he prefers to be called Red. It's his nickname. So Walter Redmond Burnett will be known as Alderman Red Burnett, which I kind of like. That's a good alder name. Kind of evokes some of the old school, Patty Baller type names. He's seems to be an accomplished person. Worked in finance out in New York, and now he's downscaling his office and his lifestyle to return to the Chicago City Council, one of the great deliberative bodies of Chicago, of really world politics.
Well, let's at least give Red credit. He didn't jump on the floor and try and crawl away like that CEO on the Coldplay Kiss. He at least he stuck with it enough to speak to them. While he was probably just dealing with so many media inquiries, he was trying to come up with a strategy for them to treat everyone fairly. And power to Block Club for chasing him down.
There's really no information that he's a Coldplay fan. Easy for me to say. Just talking about Coldplay makes me jittery and nervous right now after recent news. But anyway, Red, good luck to Red. We hope that everything gets finalized. We don't take official positions here at Frenemies of the People, other than we love Diet Coke and beef jerky. So we wish him well. It adds to the color and controversy of our great city council, and that gives us an opportunity to get together and shoot the breeze. Speaking of shoot the breeze,
think about this too. There will be no better resource, as we talk about the loss of some of these folks, right? I mean, it is interesting to think of that in that regard. Hey, tell me the history on this. Tell me that. There is sometimes I think the political dynasties can be a bit much for society to undertake, but we can say there are upsides to it too. If we think of George W. Bush being able to talk to his dad and all of those things, and in a way of there, so it's not always bad. And a lot of folks take positions differently. Maybe someone was a city alderman and then they become a state rep or these other things, but the direct transfer from one to another, but that's Chicago.
Sometimes it turns out great, sometimes it doesn't, but it always gives you something to talk about. So, like a good neighbor, State Farm, distinguished Illinois corporate citizen, is under a little bit of fire and taking some incoming from a number of electeds, including the governor of the great state of Illinois and presidential aspirant J.B. Pritzker. So State Farm says that recent weather-related losses in other states have taken its toll on its business. The insurer said that it received nearly 13,000 claims over the past year, $4.2 billion in losses. They claim that in Illinois, the various weather-related damages have forced them to pay out $1.26 in claims for every dollar of insurance premium that they have paid. So State Farm is raising rates, and that has not gone over well with Governor Pritzker, who has gone on record saying that he's going to take a hard look at this. What do you think, Patrick?
I think in a highly regulated industry like insurance, it's sometimes shocking to me that elected officials are shocked and outraged at what occurs. I do think, as I look back on it, there were recent moments in history in society where everyone said, it's okay, this place is insured. It's okay, it's insured. We all pay the insurance. Like it's not like, oh, Dennis has insurance, therefore he can that car that he kind of drove into the tree. Oh no, somebody took it, right? It's not his fault, and all this stuff. And so it's one of these where you do wonder some of the cost drivers going into these things, and what continually is pushing up these premiums. But you could take a look at it. You and I talked about insurance as it related, when Uber came along, right? And that industry found a way for them to socialize the cost of Uber and their insurance, which is everybody's insurance rates went up just a little bit to pool all that risk together because the insurance company said we couldn't figure out who was going to ride share or not, and how to share that cost. So, all these big decisions do have an impact. There's no such thing as a free lunch. No one likes rising insurance rates, but everywhere in the country, it seems that as prices to replace things go up, there so too does the insurance, and so people shouldn't be shocked at it. But it wouldn't be good politics to not be upset about it.
So one of the solutions that is being fired up in Springfield is sort of a return to rate regulation by the Illinois political system and regulatory system.
Because the one thing people look at Illinois and say is there's not enough government control of various things. That's really the case study. Our future would be brighter if only there was more control by bureaucrats and lawyers and folks that have to plead things at a commission that no one understands or sees. That would really unlock true things, and all of our rates would go down as a result of that, I'm sure.
So the rates are going up by 27% on average, and I don't doubt that State Farm probably took some hits, but sometimes getting a big number like that through without causing the kind of controversy that they're facing now, and maybe in the process causing problems for others in the industry, is more trouble than it's going to be worth. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. As you point out, Patrick.
You remember a few years ago we were talking to someone whose book of insurance business they bought came after Hurricane Andrew, was it? I forget which hurricane it was. It was one of the bad ones down in Florida, and I might have dated myself by saying Andrew. But again, the same thing would happen with a massive loss. The insurance companies are trying to shed the rolls, all of these things. And there's opportunity created in that situation for someone else to step in and buy that book of business and these other aspects, but certainly not without some turbulence and some change. But one of the things we always talk about is we can come up with nice words, but the data is what the data is. And right now, if it's $1.26 cost for every dollar of premium, unlike the government, they're not going to run in the red.
Well, Illinois isn't exactly, again, we're not partisan here. We have insurance. We're against storms. But Illinois isn't exactly killing it on the job creation. And so this is an interesting one for the governor to navigate. On the one hand, he wants to appeal to the people that don't want to pay higher insurance rates and having one more cost being thrown onto their checkbook in what has been a tumultuous year. And on the other side, you don't want to set up a different narrative that can come at you in say, a national political race that you have driven business out of the state. So sometimes in politics, it's hard to play the long game when you want to take advantage of a populist issue that pops up, but then you still have to figure out how to govern or how to run for the next office.
Amen.
Amen. Well, that, with 27% jacking up of my homeowner's insurance sounds terrible, but you know what else sounds terrible? And it is time for Sounds Terrible, Producer Grace. So, summertime around our house, there's always some of the great summertime events, Wimbledon, the Tour de France, One thing that doesn't seem to be televised and was not my vacation docket this year was the to go to Pamplona and run with the bulls. And they just finished that festival. Tens, as the Associated Press reported, tens of thousands of revelers packed the main square in northern Spain and took place in the traditional bull running festival, including throngs of foreign tourists who come to the event. Now, when I was young, I used to love reading Hemingway, and I loved reading The Sun Also Rises, which really detail this. It really hasn't changed a whole lot. There's still people that run with the bulls, and surprisingly, a number of them get trampled and gored. If you're interested, you can go to the interwebs and social media and see people in their bloody shirts after they've gotten hit or collaterally damaged by those who haven't gotten hit by the bulls. So to me, running with the bulls sounds terrible. I would rather run with the bull that we have here in the great city of Chicago and the state of Illinois.
You know, I'm just impressed they at least welcome the tourists. A dear friend of mine went to France recently, and the Louvre was closed because they're on strike. Too many tourists don't want the business.
Really?
Yeah. You know, these tourists, they want to come put money into our economy. Why would we be open for that? That's very taxing to the French.
Maybe they were doged. Yeah. The Doge opened an international.
No, it was
office.
a union. They're unionized out there. You know, the French unions are very particular.
The French work week is vigorous. There's
That's
no
right.
doubt about it. What sounds terrible for you?
My sounds terrible. Can't wait. I'm going to flip this on its head because I wasn't able to make it before I went to this event. But I want to say the curse of Skarr is broken. I was able to attend a sporting event at beloved Wrigley Field. It was a nice day. No weather interrupted it. There was no rain delay. Everything went according to schedule. Beautiful day. The Cubs won, and the curse is broken. So things are looking up. The only thing that could have made it better was had I won the 50-50 raffle jackpot. But, you know, I can't ask for it all. That'll happen next time.
Like literally, Producer Grace, Patrick has attended events where it is not unusual for them to evacuate the stadium because massive, terrible weather is coming through, causing stress to fans and State Farm. So anyway, that sounds terrible, but he broke the Curse of Skarr. But that just makes me worry about how the Curse of Skarr will manifest itself next.
Our clients think we're joking. You refuse to travel with me on the same airplane. And they think
terrible things happen.
It's true. You're like, no way.
What I think would sound great to me, but sound terrible to fans of the Milwaukee Brewers, is if you could somehow get yourself onto the Milwaukee Brewers team plane, because we need the stinking Brewers to start to lose some games and maybe some air turbulence. I don't want anything terrible to happen, but maybe some dislocated limbs or some whiplash.
It can be very stressful when your bag is lost.
Right, exactly. Maybe the bats could be redirected to Guam. Anyway, sure. If it sounds terrible, it's Frenemies of the People. And as I said, Producer Grace is our producer. You could also find her at Grace Draws Stuff. I'm Dennis. That was Patrick. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.